What good is an accessory pack if you don't have any figures to go along with it? And that's exactly what NECA chose to do with Alien Romulus, and I was actually kind of surprised we didn't at least get a couple of the human figures from the movie, but this is just where we're at. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that they put this really cool accessory pack out there. I talked about it on my channel when it came out. But no figures to go with it, it's kind of a bummer. So as I often have to do, take matters into my own hands. So I decided to make a Rain and Andy figure in the Kenner style. The Kenner Aliens toy line, my favorite toy line of all time. It's ever expanding, and I thought this was a great opportunity to add these two characters into the mix. As far as the film goes, I really enjoyed Alien Romulus. It's a worthy entry into the Alien universe, much like I felt about Alien Earth. It's not perfect, but much like I talked about with my last video with the Alien Earth custom figures, it's a high standard to live up to. But I do think that Alien Romulus is one of the better Alien films that we've had released in quite some time, and it fits very nicely into the story. Again, not perfect, but I really enjoyed it, and I do think a couple of figures to add to my collection from Alien Romulus is definitely a necessity. So how did we go about doing this? What did we do? So let's first talk about Andy. Andy was a pretty straightforward head swap. I've been using the starting lineup figures by Kenner for my head swaps recently, and it's been working out great because there's just so much to choose from. So I actually found two Marcus Allen starting lineups, and I really thought that the face there fit really good for Andy. And I was kind of struggling to think, okay, what am I gonna do with this figure to bring something different to the table? As it is, it's not like there's a bunch of accessories I could use. I mean, maybe. So since I found two of these figures, I thought it would be interesting if we did two different heads. So in the film, Andy goes through a microchip exchange. They need him to be able to access certain parts of the computer to get doors open and things of that nature. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. And so once he gets the microchip from Rook installed into him, he goes from what's being best for Andy to now his objective is what's best for the mission at hand, what's best for Weyland-Yutani. And so it's a neat sort of thing that pushes the plot along in the movie. And I really enjoyed that part. So I thought, how can I bring this to the figure? And so since I had two Marcus Allen heads that I was using for Andy, I thought one of them I will paint the eyes white to show that transformation. Then I just got to find a way to get these heads on and off with ease. And this is an idea that I've sort of been tinkering with, and I finally put it to use. And that's actually putting magnets, one at the base of the neck, kind of gluing it in once you get the head off of the base figure, and then gluing in a magnet, dribbling a hole at the base of the head, so that way it attaches when you set it on the body, and you can swap out the heads with ease. And I thought, you know, this may be something that Kenner would do, bring us some different options to kind of show this transformation of the character, and it just adds something different to a figure that could get a little mundane. There's not a lot of other things you could add to this figure as far as accessories. I mean, maybe, but I thought this was a really neat way to pull that transformation off. Very effective, and something I'll probably end up doing on more custom figures down the line. It's a super easy technique. If you're into making customs, I highly encourage you to check it out, consider it, because it's a good way to kind of maximize your figure and just bring a unique feature to it. So now let's move on to Rain. And this one, again, was a bit of a struggle just because you have very limited female bodies and female heads from this size of figure. And I really try to resource everything from other existing Kenner figures. I will go outside of that if I have to. And so digging around, doing some research, flipping through little Kenner catalogs that came with your toys back in the day, I landed on Sarah Harding from the Jurassic Park line. And the only thing about this is not a very common figure. But what I had going for in my favor is that I was going to be doing a lot of repainting, a lot of limb exchange, and so I didn't need it to be in really great shape. So kind of just observed and looked around and dug and finally found one on eBay that was a bit worse for the wear, a lot of chip paint, things of that nature. And I got it for a decent price. I mean, this is probably the most I paid for one single figure for a custom. I think it was around 15 bucks, more than I would want to, but it really worked on a lot of levels. One is that the face was basically kind of where I needed it to be. It was pretty close to looking like Kaylee Spaney. And the upper torso worked really well. She has on a sort of watch, albeit on the wrong wrist, but there was a lot of things that were working really well. However, I knew that I was going to have to do something with the hair, and I also knew I was going to have to do something with the legs. And so I actually happened to have an extra Bayou Jack figure from Kenner in their Swamp Thing line, and I thought the legs of that figure were going to work really well because they're a bit shorter for whatever reason. They have a bit baggier pant and a tucked in sort of pant into the boot or shoe area that I could repaint. And so that part worked out really well. And when I started working on this custom, it was really before I caught wise to the green stuff, right? The stuff that you put together to mold hair. So I actually just repurposed the ponytail on the Sarah Harding figure. I shaved it down and then reattached it to the side of the head to give it that sort of pulled back bob looking shorter haircuts, and repainted the hair a darker brown color. And I thought it worked really well. It's about as good as I could do finding a head sculpt for Rain. And when it was all together, once I repainted her shirt and kind of painted on a red sort of sweatband next to her watch and painted the pants black and the shoes white and red, I was just really blown away. Something about it was like, man, I feel like that's what a Kenner style Rain figure would look like. And so I was really happy with this one for whatever reason. It just looking at it was like, man, I don't know. This is like this weird retro future where Kenner's still around and they're still pumping out these. I don't know. It really struck a chord with me. I was really happy with how this one turned out, especially really having to mix and match different parts together to achieve the look I was going for. And what's nice is I have just loads and loads of accessories that I can sort of set up next to this to pose it and play out different scenes. Using a Vasquez figure with a face hugger kind of gives you something from the movie to kind of throw along in there. The scorpion aliens look pretty close to how the xenomorphs look in the film of Alien Romulus. So there's a lot you can do to kind of dress it up and create these really cool scenes. And of course, we've come full circle, right? Because the accessories, the awesome sort of pulse rifle that we see in the film, I'm able to slap on Rain, and it's very effective. So I guess in the long run, it worked out that accessory pack was out there. Otherwise, I may just have to result to something else. But that's, straight from the film, something that NECA did. So nonetheless, I was super happy with how these turned out. Using some different techniques, trying some different things, and all in all, I think they'll be great additions to my custom figure line. So, as of recording this, 2026, it is the 40th anniversary of Aliens, my favorite film of all time. So, certainly expect even more content and coverage over the Aliens universe, the films, comics, video games, figures, you name it, this year. And with that being said, I still get asked a lot about the documentation that I secured from a former Kenner employee talking about this line. And for those that don't know, I was able to get in contact with a former Kenner employee and secure some documentation that's basically market research data, some commercialization type things, how they were going to launch this line, but it all sort of discusses and revolves around bringing validity and justification to putting this line out there and putting money and investing in to bring it to market, which is all very fascinating, and there's a lot of ground to cover. And I have struggled with how I want to present this information. I wanted to do it justice to this toy line that means so much to me, and for those, toy historians that want to know about this information as well. And so I've sort of shifted gears a little bit, and I think what I'm going to do is just kind of really start with cherry picking the most interesting information that I find. I don't want it to be just me recording pages from all these documents and saying, hey, look at this. But I do think in the long run, that's probably what it's going to end up being. There are some really cool mock-ups of figures that they did and some other things that they were considering doing that never made it to market, which is all very fascinating. So maybe I'll kind of start just by talking with those. But rest assured, I appreciate your patience on that because I do get asked about it because I have mentioned it in previous videos. It's a coming. I just want to do it justice and want to do it right because I know a lot of people are interested to see that stuff. And I'm very, very thankful to have that stuff in my collection. So it's coming. Don't worry. Yeah, and as far as other things I'll be talking about this year outside of aliens, man, I've got some conventions I'm going to, got a couple trips planned where I'm definitely going to visit some spots. So look forward to that. Man, I got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about and do, you know, and again, like I've said, isn't a full-time job for me. I make content when I can. I like to do one video a month and try to work on them as best I can to deliver, you know, best content that I feel like I can put out there. So I appreciate everyone that's been here the long haul since the beginning. And if you're new here, it's your first time checking out my channel, I really appreciate you stopping down and checking out this video. And so I would love some feedback, right? If there's a figure you would like to see me attempt make as a custom, let me know. If there's a video that you would like to see me do over another topic or something in my collection, you know, love to talk about movies, movie merchandise, collectibles, video games, music from time to time, you name it, drop me a line. I'll be happy to take on your request. And so, can't thank all of you enough for stopping down, checking out this video, checking out my channel. Really means a lot. It's like I say at the end of all my videos, let's be kind as we rewind and fast forward through time. Thank you so much for stopping by 2 Day Rentals.